Shanghai completely surprised me. It was absolute highlight of my TripADeal trip to China. So join me on this video to find out why. Welcome to Travel with Zan. Recently, I went on a TripADeal trip to China. So this was the 5-Star Warriors of China tour, and our last stop was Shanghai. I have done videos of the other stops, so I will link them up above and down below. Check out my China playlist to see more. But anyway, back to Shanghai. So we were on the coach from Suzhou to Shanghai. We arrived in the early evening. We were staying at the Radisson Collection Hotel, Yangtze, Shanghai. So this was quite a nice hotel room. And we got there, so early evening. And so for the first night, we went off to the train station, to the metro station, and decided to go and see some of China. This was one of those instances where I have to say the tour guide was kind of a bit like, oh, don't go anywhere, we'll take you everywhere. I don't know if that's just because they don't want you to get lost or cause them problems, or whether it's just because they want to, sell you their optional tours and stuff. But anyway, we weren't going to miss out on our first evening in Shanghai. So off we went on the metro to Nanjing Road East Station and headed down to the Bund. So as you walk along from here, you go past a whole lot of shops. Nanjing Road is one of the busiest shopping streets in the world. It's been Shanghai's main shopping strip since the 19th century. But today it's a neon-lit pedestrian mall with everything from luxury brands to street snacks. So we walked down to the Bund, the famous waterfront. So the Bund was once the international settlement of Shanghai. So on one side of the river are the 19th and 20th century buildings in European styles, British, French, there's American banks and trading houses. And on the other side is the ultra-modern skyline of Pudong. So it looks like two cities in one view. And I think this is the thing that I absolutely loved about Shanghai, is it kind of, in one spot, it had everything I love. I love new buildings, towers, lights, that kind of thing. I also love, beautiful architecture and old buildings. Being from London, like the English Quarter, it was like being in London kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. So first things, the metro is so easy to navigate. Absolutely love Shanghai Metro. So easy. It's there's English. Each of the signs, you go to the station, you can, once you work out which line you want to be on, it'll tell you the next station, and the other side will be sort of grayed out so you know which way you're heading. So really simple and easy to use, and you can just tap on with your Alipay as well. So that was super easy. I really loved the metro. It runs like every 3 minutes on all the lines, and they're all perfectly on time. Yeah, great metro system. And that's my number one thing that I love about cities, is a great metro system. So I really did enjoy this in Shanghai. So after wandering down through Nanjing Road, we decided that we would do a riverboat trip that night so that we could see it. There was an optional tour for one the next day with the tour group, but we were worried that that wasn't going to be late enough to really see the lights. So we just went to one of the offices. The Huangpu River cruise was 120 yuan for daytime or 150 yuan for nighttime. So obviously we were doing the nighttime one. So this is equivalent of 25 to 32 Australian dollars. So it goes around the harbour, it goes out, turns around and comes back again. So, wherever you're sitting on the boat, you can see everything that you want to see. And also we paid the extra for the VIP area, which you go upstairs to like a separate area. We got a packet of biscuits, and that to me was worth it, because you definitely got a seat, right next to the railing, comfortable, with a table and everything like that. I think you could also use like a bar and stuff up there, but we didn't do that. So I took way too much footage of this. It was just an absolute highlight of the whole trip, was watching everything lit up, here. It was, yeah, just amazing. So yeah, I'm going to probably bore you here a bit with some footage for a minute or so, but totally, definitely do this. So if you're looking across to Pudong from the Bund, we went to the one that was down towards the right. The one that TripADeal did was way down towards the left, so not like in the central area. I don't know if that made it cheaper for them, probably. But yeah, so the one that they took you on was way down there, was still accessible. We actually went there the next day to drop off a friend that we'd been out with during the day. Just found all the light shows just amazing. It's like Vivid in Sydney, but it's, you know, like every day. So I don't feel like I could ever get enough of this. So then after the cruise, we walked back up through the shopping district, up through Nanjing Road, having a look at the food. We ended up in this little arcadey type thing, and there was this girl singing, which was kind of cool. And yeah, we got some soft shell crab, which was pretty good. A bit different than it is in Australia, but there we go. Then we got the metro back to the hotel and slept. So the next day was a tour day with TripADeal. So we visited first the Jin Mao Tower, which it was built in 1998, and you go up to the 88th floor here, and it's a 45-second elevator ride. It was really good. 88 floors because 8 is a lucky number in China, and it's right next to Shanghai Tower, the second tallest building in the world, but it's cheaper to go up. So we did choose to go up this, and the views were absolutely amazing. And then there was a scary, strange hole thing that you could look through the window. But anyway, that was kind of cool. Then from there we went back down to the Bund for a daytime walk, and the Bund's grand row of historic buildings includes former banks, consulates and trade houses. It was divided into different zones. British and Americans dominated here. The French had their own quarter to the west, and of course the Chinese city lay just beyond the old walls. After this we went to the Shanghai History Museum. So this museum brings Shanghai's story to life, from fishing villages to a treaty port forced upon after the Opium Wars, to one of the world's biggest trading hubs. It's a great way to understand how the Bund and the different concessions shaped the city. So we went with TripADeal. That was part of the included things in the excursion. They only had, I think it was an hour. We were leaving them after that, so we actually stayed a bit longer. It's an amazing museum with old stuff, new stuff. We didn't even see half of it probably, and we were there for a good couple of hours. So, you know, the people that only had like an hour, I don't know how much they would have seen. I could definitely spend a day in this museum if I went back again. So after leaving the museum, we popped out into the square outside, went to the 7-Eleven and got some food. It was very reasonable, pretty good. So we left the group tour at this point because we wanted to go to the Maglev. So one of the optional tours that had been announced was that you could go to the Maglev and Kew Gardens, and it was seemed to be down to the tour guide, and the tour guide decided not to do that tour. Instead, he was going to do one that went to the markets and like just around the French Quarter and that. So as two of the things I really wanted to do was the Maglev and the Kew Gardens, we went off on our own. So we went out to the Maglev, so we got the train out. So the Maglev just runs out to the airport. We bought a one-day travel card because we knew we were going to take quite a few trips this day, and it lasts actually for 24 hours. So it lasted us through the next day as well. So it's not one day like a normal one, it's 24 hours from when you validate it. And we got the one that included the Maglev. So we went out. It took us a little while to find the Maglev, but once we followed all the signs, which, you know, the signs are all in English, so that's really good, and we got down to the Maglev, and we went on it, and that was pretty cool. So we did enjoy that. So the Maglev, which is the first and fastest commercial magnetic levitation train, it can hit speeds up to 431 kilometers an hour, but it actually only goes up to 300 kilometers an hour. So less than the bullet trains we went on, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but still pretty cool. And if you look at this bit of footage here, you might be able to notice how it actually does levitate. It's only a little tiny bit, but it does actually levitate. So that was pretty cool. It was very smooth. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. I thought it would be like super quiet, super smooth. It wasn't, but it was still, yeah, it was a great adventure. And then, so when we got off, when we went back, into the city, there's a little museum. We quite enjoyed this little museum. It was free and just had some history of the Maglev. Learned a bit about it there, so that was pretty good. And then finally got to go to a KFC and get the KFC Portuguese tarts. They call them egg tarts. And people had raved about them, and I'd never managed to have them. So this was sort of my last full day in China, and I was going to get those Portuguese tarts. And they were good. I will say they were good. I can see why people recommended them. So from here, we got the metro to Yuyuan Station. We were going to go and see the Yuyuan, but they closed at 4 p.m. So they were about to close when we got there. So that was fine. We just wandered around in the Chinese quarter, looking at the Jiaochang markets and just the shops around there, and explored the Bazaar and the old Chinese city areas. This was pretty cool. This part of China feels like stepping back in time. There's narrow alleys, traditional tea houses, lanterns, and plenty of street food. So that was kind of fun. So this is when we took the friend that we'd met on the tour that was going on the Bund River cruise. So we actually took her over to there. So, we got to spend a bit more time on the trains and, having a look around. So that was pretty cool. And then we just went back to the hotel and met some other people that we'd met on the trip in the hotel bar and had a couple of drinks and went to bed. So exhausted. So the next morning we had to be up early. So this was our last day in China. So this is very sad. As I say, we really, really enjoyed this trip. Enjoyed the people that we met, enjoyed all the places that we went to. We were really sad for it to end, but we didn't have to be, our flight wasn't till 3 o'clock. So we got the metro in again and we went to Yew Gardens. So we went to Yew Garden Station and then walked down to the gardens. And I am so glad we did this because the Yew Gardens was an absolute highlight. And I preferred them to the lingering gardens that they'd taken us to. And the reason they weren't going to do this was because they were kind of like, oh, well, you went to the lingering gardens, so why do you want to go to Yew Gardens? But I actually thought this was nicer. So yeah, really enjoyed that. So Yew Gardens dates back to the Ming-dynasty more than 400 years ago. They were created as a private retreat for a wealthy official's family. There's rockeries, lotus ponds, carved bridges, and ornate pavilions. It's a peaceful oasis right in the middle of modern Shanghai. I just can't believe that, these absolutely amazing gardens were just people's private residences. It just shows you how different things were. And I guess, even in China, like it's the same as other parts of the world where, some of the rich people just had these amazing lives. And I'm sure there was a lot of poor people as well. One of my favorite things at the Yew Gardens was the zigzag bridge, 9-turn bridge. This was near the end of the gardens, like the far side from where we came in. So if you do want to see this, do make sure you've got enough time to get there. So we did have to rush through a few bits of the gardens to make sure we got it all done. You could easily spend, a good 4 or 5 hours here, and we only had like 2.5 hours I think we had. So we left the hotel at 8:30 and we got back at like 12, so plus travel time. So yeah, you could definitely spend quite a lot of time at the gardens, and the bridge was a highlight. And then we got back and onto the coach and off to the airport. So the airport was pretty cool. Like everything else in China, the airport was super clean, super organized, and they had some really nice food places. So we organized to get some food. So just like a snack, I just had some spring rolls. They were pretty good. But yeah, like everything in China, super clean. And then we boarded our flight for home. So yeah, sad, but yep. So TripADeal, would I do it again? Yes, I would. I'm not much one for organized tours, so I would like to do it on my own the next time I go to China, but yeah, still enjoyed it. We were on Southern China Airlines. The food was really good, actually, so I was quite impressed by that. I was quite impressed by Southern China Airlines on the whole. Every meal had like salad and fruit with it, and the main courses were fine. They were, chicken rice or beef and rice, but They were pretty good. The breakfast was a little bit weird, but still at least half of it was kind of edible. I think it was them trying to do a bit of an English breakfast. So thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. It costs you nothing to subscribe, but it really helps my channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it. And TripADeal. So what did I think of TripADeal? Well, I loved my time in China. I, completely changed my opinion of China. I have done a video on that. I'll link that below. And, would I do it again? Yes. So I'm going to do a whole video, on my thoughts of TripADeal, because I've also booked something else on TripADeal for next year. So I'll talk about that as well. But yeah, on the whole, it was pretty well organized, and financially it was, a great decision and great way to see a lot of China. As I say, I'm not one for group excursions really, though we did make some great friends on this trip and we had a really great time. So yeah, I would do it again. Anyway, so check out my China playlist to see more of my China videos, and until next time, bye.